The night was quiet until a single message shattered everything. A warning appeared on Emily's phone, trembling in her hand. A name she thought she had buried resurfaced without mercy. Shadows moved outside her window, as if listening to her fear. Her heartbeat grew louder than the ticking clock on the wall. Across town, Liam stared at the same message with frozen shock. He knew this wasn't a mistake, but a deliberate strike. Someone had uncovered their secret and wanted them to break. The truth they hid for years was no longer safe or silent. And before sunrise, their lives would twist into a storm they couldn't outrun. Emily stepped into the dim hallway and felt the cold air press against her skin. She moved slowly because every sound felt sharper than usual. The message still burned in her memory like a threat carved in glass. She replayed the sender's name until her breath turned unsteady. No one should have known what happened 3 years ago. No one should have had access to the one thing she promised to forget. Her fingers trembled as she pushed open the living room door. The room looked normal, but something in the silence felt wrong. She noticed the window was unlocked, even though she never left it open. Her chest tightened as she reached for the latch with hesitant hands. A faint scratch marked the sill, as if someone had been there quietly. She whispered Liam's name, because he was the only one she trusted. He didn't answer, and the absence stung her more than she expected. She dialed his number, while packing in small circles on the carpet. The call rang too long, and anxiety crept up her spine like ice. She felt watched even though the house was empty. When Liam finally picked up, his voice was uneven and strained. He asked if she got the message, and she heard fear under every word. She said yes, and her tone cracked as she admitted she was scared. He told her he received the same warning and knew it wasn't random. Someone had traced their past and wanted to expose everything. Emily swallowed hard because the past was the one place she refused to return. Liam told her to stay inside and wait for him to arrive. He sounded determined, but worry still twisted her nerves tightly. She locked every door and checked every corner of the house. Her heartbeat quickened when she heard footsteps on the porch. She froze, gripping the edge of the table like it could protect her. A shadow crossed the frosted glass of the front door. She whispered for Liam again, but fear muted her voice. The doorknob turned slowly, as if someone tested her reaction. Emily stepped backward, keeping her eyes locked on the front entrance. Her phone buzzed with a new message, louder than any knock. She forced herself to glance at the screen while staying alert. The message said they were not done with her yet. It also said they knew what she took and where she hid it. Emily's breath caught because only 2 people knew that truth. Her pulse hammered when she realized the sender wasn't guessing. They had details no outsider could ever discover. She felt the room spin as she read the final line again. They promised to finish what they started the night everything collapsed. Emily stared at the door and felt a wave of dread pulse through her. She understood this wasn't a threat, but the beginning of something worse. She braced herself as the footsteps returned, slower and heavier. The house turned eerily quiet, except for the faint hum of her fear. And she knew whatever waited outside had no intention of leaving peacefully. Liam drove faster than he should, as the city lights blurred past his windows. His hands tightened around the steering wheel with growing tension. He kept checking his rearview mirror because he sensed he wasn't alone. A dark sedan followed him for several blocks without changing lanes. He slowed down once, and the sedan slowed at the exact same moment. His pulse jumped as he realized someone was tracking his movements. He turned abruptly onto a side street to test his suspicion. The sedan turned with him, its headlights cutting through the quiet road. Liam swallowed hard and pressed the gas to create distance. His phone vibrated again, but he didn't dare look at the screen. He focused on getting to Emily before anything else happened. She was in danger, and the message proved their past had resurfaced. He sped through another intersection and hoped the sedan would back off. It didn't, and the pressure in his chest spread like fire. He finally grabbed his phone and read the new message quickly. It told him to stop running because they already knew his destination. His hands shook because only one place mattered to him right now. He muttered Emily's name and felt fear rise inside him like a tide. He made a sharp turn into an old industrial area to confuse his follower. The roads were empty, and the silence tightened around him. He slowed the car and watched the sedan disappear in the distance. For a moment, relief washed over him like a fragile breath. But another message arrived, colder than the last and perfectly timed. It said they let him go because Emily was more important. His stomach dropped as he imagined her alone with danger closing in. He turned the car around and raced toward her house without hesitation. Every minute felt heavier than the one before it. He tried calling her again, but she didn't pick up this time. The absence of her voice made his heart pound harder. He whispered promises to himself that he wouldn't let her face this alone. The streets blurred as he drove faster than fear could follow. When he reached her neighborhood, he noticed a light flicker near her porch. He parked a few houses away and approached quietly on foot. The air felt thick, as if the night itself held its breath. He kept close to the hedges and scanned every shadow carefully. A figure stood near Emily's door, unmoving and unnervingly patient. Liam's muscles tightened as he watched the figure tilt its head. The motion felt deliberate, as if they sensed his presence instantly. He ducked behind a mailbox and steadied his breathing. Another message buzzed from his phone, loud in the stillness. It said they knew he was watching and dared him to come closer. Liam clenched his jaw because backing down wasn't an option. He stepped out slowly and approached the porch with deliberate steps. The figure didn't retreat, but shifted slightly toward him. A low laugh slipped from behind the mask, covering their face. Liam froze as the figure pointed to the front door behind them. He felt a chill run through him as he realized Emily might already be inside. The figure whispered that the real game would start only when he entered. Liam braced himself because he understood there was no turning back. He stepped toward the door and felt the night close around him like a trap. Emily pressed herself against the wall as the door creaked open slowly. Her breath caught because the figure on the porch had vanished. A chill ran down her spine, and she felt exposed in the empty room. She grabbed the nearest object, a heavy lamp, and held it tightly. Her phone buzzed again, but she ignored it, fearing another trap. The silence in the house felt unnatural, as if it were holding its breath. Every shadow seemed to stretch toward her, moving with intent. She crept toward the living room, her steps careful and measured. Suddenly, a floorboard groaned behind her, and she froze in place. Her heart thumped loudly enough to echo in her own ears. The lights flickered once, then steadied, leaving her in uneasy calm. Emily reached the hallway and noticed the door to the basement was ajar. She hadn't opened it in months, and the gap made her stomach twist. A faint sound drifted upward, almost like a whisper calling her name. Her hand hovered over the doorknob, unsure whether to retreat or go down. A new message appeared on her phone, startling her with its timing. It said, "We're closer than you think, make the right choice." She clenched her teeth, knowing hesitation could cost her everything. Her mind raced back to Liam and the plan they had discussed long ago. She decided she couldn't wait. She had to confront whatever was coming. She slowly descended the basement stairs, keeping the lamp raised. The smell of dust and dampness hit her immediately, making her gag. A shadow moved at the far end of the basement, making her step back. Her hand shook as she lifted the lamp higher, revealing an empty corner. Then she noticed a faint trail of papers scattered across the floor. Each paper had symbols and names written in a way only she could recognize. The realization hit her. Someone had been here, going through her things. Emily swallowed hard and moved carefully toward the pile. A sudden noise from above made her spin around instantly. Footsteps on the stairs echoed, as if someone was approaching fast. Her grip on the lamp tightened, ready to strike if needed. The stairs groaned under a weight that wasn't human, unnerving her further. A shadow appeared in the doorway, making her heart skip wildly. It was Liam, but his face was pale, eyes wide with urgent warning. He whispered that she needed to leave now. It wasn't safe a second longer. Emily nodded, barely breathing, feeling the tension squeeze her chest. They backed toward the stairs together, aware that any noise could betray them. Suddenly, a loud slam came from the front door, shaking the house. Emily and Liam froze as a shadow passed the window with deliberate speed. They didn't speak, only moved quickly toward the exit, keeping low. Another message lit up her phone, saying, "You can't hide anymore." Her stomach churned as she realized the person watching them knew every step. They reached the front door, and Liam pulled it open with precise force. The cool night air hit their faces, but they knew the danger hadn't passed. Emily glanced back once, seeing the dark silhouette disappear into the shadows. She felt a shiver run down her spine, realizing the night was far from over. Liam grabbed her hand, pulling her toward the car parked a few blocks away. Every instinct told them to run, but the messages hinted at traps everywhere. Their escape had begun, but Emily knew the next move could decide everything. Emily and Liam ran through the dark streets, keeping low and moving fast. Their breaths came in sharp bursts, echoing in the empty alleys around them. Every corner they turned felt like a trap waiting to close in. Liam checked behind them constantly, making sure no one followed. A shadow darted across the far end of the street, vanishing instantly. Emily's heart raced as she realized someone was tracking their every move. Her phone buzzed again, a new message from the unknown sender. It read, "You can't escape, we're always one step ahead." She crumpled the phone in her hand, anger mixing with fear. Liam grabbed her arm, pulling her toward an abandoned warehouse. They slipped inside quickly, hoping the darkness would shield them. The air inside was thick, carrying the scent of rust and old wood. Emily kept her eyes peeled as they moved cautiously through the shadows. A distant sound of footsteps echoed, making them freeze instantly. They pressed themselves against the wall, listening to the echoes fade. A message appeared on Liam's phone, louder and more precise than before. It said, "Look around. Your past is closer than you think." Emily glanced at the dusty crates, noticing symbols similar to the basement papers. Her stomach twisted as she realized someone had followed them here. They moved deeper into the warehouse, careful not to make a sound. A metal clang rang out as Liam kicked a small barrel by accident. Emily winced, expecting someone to appear instantly. A shadow emerged from the far end, tall and deliberate in its approach. Liam stepped in front of Emily, ready to confront whoever was there. The figure paused, just out of reach, as if testing their reactions. Emily felt a cold sweat run down her back, her hands trembling slightly. The figure raised a hand, and a flash of light from a phone reflected in the dark. Another message appeared, this time projected on the wall briefly. It read, "You cannot hide. The truth will come out tonight." Emily's chest tightened. The warnings were more than threats, they were promises. The figure moved closer, its steps silent but measured, calculating every move. Liam whispered for Emily to stay calm and think of a way out. They edged toward a side exit, hoping the figure didn't notice. Suddenly, the lights flickered on, harsh and blinding, filling the room instantly. Emily gasped as she saw the figure standing at the center, holding something familiar. Her eyes widened, because it was an object from the night they thought was gone. Liam's jaw clenched as he recognized it too, and fear tightened his chest. The figure didn't speak, only watched, waiting for them to react. Emily realized the game wasn't just about fear, it was about exposing secrets. Her mind raced to remember every detail they had hidden over the years. She noticed a small door behind the figure, leading further into the warehouse. Liam nodded toward it, signaling they needed to move quickly. They dashed toward the door, ignoring the figure's slow pursuit. Emily tripped over debris, but quickly regained her footing. The figure stopped at the doorway, watching silently, letting them escape for now. They ran through the narrow corridor, heartbeats loud in their ears. Another message buzzed as they moved, saying, "You can't run forever." Emily and Liam exchanged a tense glance, knowing the night was far from over. Every step they took carried the weight of their past, now fully alive. The warehouse faded behind them, but the threat remained, closer than ever. Emily and Liam emerged into a narrow street, shadows stretching long around them. Their lungs burned from running, but stopping wasn't an option. Every echo of their footsteps seemed amplified in the empty night. Liam scanned the surroundings, noticing movement in every corner. A figure appeared briefly on a rooftop, then vanished into darkness. Emily's hands shook as she gripped Liam's arm for reassurance. Her phone buzzed again, another message from the relentless sender. It said, "You thought you could hide, but we're inside your world." Liam cursed under his breath, realizing every route they took was tracked. Emily's heart sank as she recognized the handwriting on the walls ahead. It mirrored the messages from her basement, twisted and mocking. She swallowed hard, knowing they were being lured deeper into the trap. Liam led her down a side alley, hopping to throw off their pursuer. A car door slammed somewhere in the distance, sharp and deliberate. They froze, listening, knowing the sound wasn't coincidental. The street was empty, but the tension made it feel alive with eyes. Emily whispered that they should find a place to hide immediately. Liam agreed, spotting an old service door ajar at the side of a building. They slipped inside quietly, pressing themselves against the wall. The building smelled of dust and decay, a forgotten place in the city. Emily's phone buzzed again, lighting up with a new message. It read, "Closer than you think. Watch your next step carefully." She felt panic rise, knowing the sender was always watching, always ahead. Liam moved forward, peeking around corners, checking for anyone inside. Every shadow seemed to twist and shift, playing tricks on their eyes. Emily clutched a metal pipe she found on the floor, ready for confrontation. A sudden noise from above made them both spin instinctively. Footsteps echoed on the upper floor, deliberate and slow. They crept toward the staircase, keeping low, listening to every sound. Emily's stomach churned as she realized whoever was up there knew they had entered. Liam whispered that they needed to keep moving, stay ahead of the game. The staircase creaked under their weight, each sound magnified in the silence. At the top, they saw a corridor lined with doors, some slightly open. Emily froze, recognizing a familiar object in one of the rooms. It was a photograph they thought was destroyed years ago. Her breath caught, realizing their secrets were being exposed piece by piece. Liam nodded, signaling that they had to continue despite the danger. They moved down the corridor, each step calculated and deliberate. A sudden creak behind them made them whirl around, ready to strike. No one was there, but the air felt charged with menace. Emily's phone buzzed again, displaying a video this time. It showed them entering the building, every movement recorded. Liam's jaw tightened, knowing the person behind this was meticulous and patient. They reached the end of the corridor, where a heavy door blocked their path. Liam pushed it open slowly, revealing a room filled with old files and papers. Emily recognized some documents immediately, exposing long-buried truths. They realized the sender had gone through every detail of their past. Her chest tightened, knowing there was no simple escape from this. Liam whispered that the real confrontation was coming, and they had to be ready. Emily nodded, steeling herself for what awaited beyond the door. Every fear, every secret, was about to collide in a single moment. They took a deep breath and stepped forward, prepared for the inevitable. Emily and Liam entered the final room, tension thick as fog around them. The lights flickered, casting shadows that danced like predators. Files and papers lay scattered, each one revealing secrets they hid. Emily's hands shook as she picked up a folder with her name on it. Liam's eyes scanned the room, alert for any movement or trap. A low hum echoed, as if the building itself was watching them. Her phone buzzed violently, another message from the unseen sender. It read, "Every step you take has been anticipated. There is no escape." Emily swallowed hard, realizing the danger had been inside all along. A figure stepped out from behind a stack of crates, calm and deliberate. The face was masked, but the presence felt familiar, almost intimate. Liam moved in front of Emily, ready to shield her from whatever came. The figure spoke, voice cold and measured. "You can't run from history." Emily's stomach twisted, recognizing the truth in the words. She realized the past they thought buried had been alive, waiting. Liam clenched his fists, his jaw tight, refusing to show fear. The figure advanced slowly, each step echoing ominously in the room. Emily scanned for anything to defend herself with: metal, wood, anything. The message on her phone flashed again. "Tonight, the truth surfaces." Her pulse quickened, the weight of their secrets pressing down. The figure paused, pointing to the scattered papers on the floor. Emily stepped forward cautiously, trying to understand the motive. The figure gestured toward Liam, then back to her, making a silent demand. Her mind raced, realizing their past mistakes were being weaponized. Liam whispered for her to stay calm and think strategically. Emily nodded, heart pounding, knowing the wrong move could be fatal. The figure circled them, patient, as if savoring their rising tension. A sudden slam from a nearby door made Emily jump instinctively. The figure smirked under the mask, acknowledging the fear it provoked. Emily's phone buzzed one last time, a final message appearing on screen. It said, "The choice is yours. Confess or face the consequences alone." Her stomach knotted. Every option felt impossible, heavy with risk. Liam placed a hand on her shoulder, grounding her in the chaos. Emily took a deep breath, realizing they could only face this together. She stepped forward, meeting the figure's gaze without flinching. The figure tilted its head, a silent acknowledgement of her courage. Liam followed, standing firm beside her, unyielding despite the fear. The figure reached into a coat pocket, pulling out a single envelope. It landed on the floor between them, heavy with unspoken threats. Emily bent to pick it up, hands trembling, heart hammering relentlessly. Inside were documents, photos, evidence of every hidden secret they shared. The figure took a step back, letting them absorb the full weight of the truth. Emily and Liam exchanged a tense glance, understanding the stakes fully. The figure finally spoke again, voice softer but edged with warning. "Your past is open now. Decide carefully, for every choice echoes forever." They stayed silent, absorbing the reality that nothing would ever be the same. The figure vanished into the shadows, leaving only the envelope and their fear. Emily and Liam looked at each other, realizing survival meant confronting everything. They knew the night was only the beginning of reckoning, and no one would forgive. Together, they stepped toward the exit, carrying the burden of truth and consequence. Emily and Liam emerged into the cool night air, exhausted but alive. The city around them seemed quiet, but the tension lingered like smoke. They clutched the envelope tightly, knowing it contained everything hidden. Her hands shook, but she forced herself to breathe and think clearly. Liam glanced at her, silent, sharing the weight of unspoken fears. They walked slowly, aware that every step was being watched. The messages had stopped, but the threat felt permanent, lingering. Emily realized the past would follow them no matter where they went. They reached the car, seats empty, but ready to escape the shadows. Every light seemed brighter outside, yet their nerves remained taut. Liam started the engine, eyes scanning the streets for any sign of danger. Emily unfolded the envelope, revealing truths they could no longer deny. They stared at the evidence, the mistakes, and the lives they'd hidden. Her chest ached with regret, but she knew confrontation was necessary. Liam nodded toward her, signaling that together they could face it all. The night had changed them, carved their fear into a cautious resolve. Emily slipped the envelope into her bag, heart pounding but steady. They drove away slowly, leaving the warehouse and shadows behind. Every mile felt like a small victory, but the truth would never fade. They knew the reckoning was only beginning, and they had to survive it. Together, they vanished into the night, carrying secrets, fear, and fragile hope.